and welcome to FCA Friday. Today we're going to talk about adulting, and for me, I love being an adult. Some people don't like being an adult. In fact, no one I know who is an adult likes being an adult, because that's how the word adulting became a verb. Just growing up and being more responsible became a verb, and it's never used approbatively. It's always pejorative when somebody says adulting. Oh, I'm adulting. I like adulting all over the place with stuff like that. And just experiences of life, it's inevitable. You have to grow up. Well, I guess it's not inevitable. You either die as a child or you grow up. Those are the options. And when you grow up, there's a maturity level that comes, but there's also, the reason why maturity levels happen is because you have experiences. You learn how to behave. You make mistakes and you experience failure. And there's two kinds of people. There's the people who internalize that failure, and then there's people who externalize that failure. The people who internalize it, they end up depressed. I understand that not everyone has external depression. I know that there are clinical and mental chemical problems associated with that. I'm not trying to downplay your mental illness in any way, shape, or form, but there are people who get so down about being an adult. And I believe that a lot of it is because of financial problems that the millennia generation has to deal with. When people talk about millennials, they talk about it in such a bad light. They talk about it so wrongly. You hear people who grew up and graduated from college in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even the 90s, they think so badly of my generation, of the under 35-year-olds. They're like, you're living with your parents, you're lazy, you don't have good jobs, and you don't have your own house, you don't blah, 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 blah. And that's because old people allow me, because that's age discrimination that they have. There's age discrimination against old people. When you're 60 something, people don't want to hire you because they think you can't work because you're 60 years old, and so they see you as old and useless. But they don't want to hire young people because they don't have experience. They say they don't have experience, they're impossible to train, and so older people don't get hired, younger people don't get hired, nobody's hired. And then we have, the financial and economical crash that we are experiencing in life because people don't have common sense. People just don't have common sense. And then we people micromanage everyone else's lives. We make big deals out of nothing. They're on Facebook today. Do you know what I read? I'll tell you what I read. There was some person, some human, doing something dumb where they were trying to turn the mystery Skittles, the Skittles that are all white and, the flavors are all there, but you don't know which one you're getting. They were trying to turn that into a race issue. Like, whiteness doesn't equal equality. We don't want whiteness. And then I saw a Tumblr thing that was shared on Facebook about teeth, where they were like, have you ever noticed that having straight white teeth means you have nice, pretty teeth? That is just oppression. No, that's hygiene. When your bone decays, bones are supposed to be a white color. And if they get a disease, they turn like a blackish green from decomposition. That's just a color expression of a problem. That's not a race issue. It's not a sexuality issue. Stop making things that aren't issues. It drives the rest of us insane. And it drives the rest of us insane because it takes away from real problems. There are real race issues. There are real, discriminations in the world. And when you take something like freaking mystery Skittles and, having straight white hygienic teeth and turning that into a race issue. You know, some guy telling you, oh, you look nice in a dress, and then trying to charge that as a sexual assault. Are you serious? That takes away from the real issues. That takes away from the credibility of people who are really experiencing actual problems. And the other problem I have with adults and adulting is that we make so many issues, not me, I mean, maybe me to a small degree, but not in the example I'm about to provide, because that would be counterproductive, wouldn't it now? People who complain about which way the toilet paper roll faces. Are we serious, humans? That's your issue in life? And there are people who talk about being seriously, emotionally, and psychologically disturbed from which way the toilet paper roll faces. I didn't even, why I don't, it frustrates me. Because the only thing you should care about is there toilet paper there? Is the bathroom clean enough to use? Other than that, which way it faces, is that, I can't get over that kind of stupidity. Because people can't get over that. How are you supposed to live the rest of your life as a responsible adult when things like mystery colored Skittles and toilet paper rolls rule your life? I don't understand it. And it happens in the industrial world as well. It happens in the industrial world where, you know, you don't have experience, but you have school. The wages have decreased. It drives me crazy when older people try to compare my situation and my millennial situation to theirs. When you're 70 and 60 years old, when you grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, not growing up in the 90s, when you graduated from college and high school in the 90s, 80s, and all the other things I've mentioned, we're talking about people who used their interviews were, I'm going to go shake the manager's hand and the job was practically yours. Getting an associate's degree meant comfortable living. You didn't even have to get a full-out bachelor's degree to have a comfortable life. And getting your bachelor's degree, back in the 90s, 80s, and 70s, when people did that, it was $1,200, it could be $1,000 to $1,500, maybe $2,000 if you were going to a bigwig school for the entire year. And so you could pay a part-time minimum wage summer job could pay for an entire year of school. Work over the summer, pay for school. They didn't have to deal with $300 to $500 for one book. They didn't have to deal with taking out a loan equivalent to a house loan for 1 year of school. They didn't have to deal with being nickeled and dimed for every little fee like we do. And the job opportunities are scarce. There are people with master's degrees who are just above poverty level. They get $20,000 or $25,000 a year with a master's degree. I can't get over that. And, it drives us crazy, as the Facebook meme says, go to college or you'll be flipping burgers the rest of your life. Then we graduate and they're like, what, you're too good to flip burgers? Yeah. I spent years and thousands of dollars in school, and I could have gotten a job flipping burgers while I was in high school. I didn't even need to graduate high school to get that job. So yeah, I think I'm better qualified than that. And then when we tried to apply to those jobs, I was rejected from every fast food job I applied to when my field jobs weren't available because I had a college degree. The biggest academic accomplishment of my life, I shouldn't put on my thing so that I can get a job flipping burgers. And then you wonder, those are the jobs. When people talk about Obama brought so many jobs, the jobs that he brought were Walmart and fast food jobs, minimum wage, part-time jobs. You can't pay for your school loans. Most people are paying $200 to $600, and some people even more than that, hundreds of dollars every month in school loans. Then we had to pay when it came to the Affordable Care Act, I personally had to pay, they wanted me to pay, I got different insurance. They wanted me to pay $800 a month when I was working in a job that I didn't make $800 a month. I maybe made $600 because I got paid every 2 weeks, and I would get paid less than $400 gross, mind you. Everything goes based off of gross income, even though that's money I don't have to spend on things. And that's all the older generations. The fact that there's no unions, there's no employee protection, there's not better pension protection, there's not a guaranteed promotion or wage increase. The older generations, our parents and grandparents' generations, had more power of employees, and they could have controlled that situation and made it better, but they just got what they could get. Talk about selfish, greedy people, got what they could get, and then left the rest of us out to hang and dry and burn in an economic crisis, and everyone wants to blame millennials. Meanwhile, adulting, when you're adulting, that means trying to get a good job and move your way through the world. Being an adult is a good thing. All the economic problems that we have, being an adult is a good thing. Why? Because as a child, everything's blindly given to you. If you have vegan parents, you're forced to be a vegan. If you have religious parents, you're forced to go to church or to a synagogue or wherever, you go, to temples and whatever and whatnot. When you get forced to be whatever your parents are, and that's what you're raised in. When you make money, if you did chores and got an allowance, or if you raked lawns and did lawn work and yard work and babysat, and then you got money, your parents were able and allowed to control what you did with it. No, you can't buy that because we don't want you to, or you're not old enough to do that. They controlled. You could have bought your own car, bought your own car insurance, paid for your own gas, and your parents were allowed to tell you that you couldn't have friends in the car, that you couldn't, your car that you paid for, your money, your license, you can't go on a road trip. And things like that. And so as an adult, I understand consequences better than I did when I was a child, but I also understand choices because I have a plethora of choices. Church, religious beliefs, what I eat, when I eat, how much I eat. There were so many people who I think just shouldn't be parents if you have this mindset, where they're like, if I put it on your plate, you're going to eat it. I don't care if you're full. I don't care if you don't like it. Do you eat food that you don't like? Do you eat when you're not hungry? What are you being a jerk for? Where there's some parents who won't do the slightest thing, like they won't cut, they won't spoil their kids. It's like, you want your kid to eat, you make slight modifications. And, I understand if your teenager doesn't like something, well, then they can go make their own food and eat something else. I'm totally cool with that. But as an adult, I get to decide all that. I can have chocolate for breakfast, and it's fine. I can take whoever I want in my car, and it's all my choice. I love having choices that I didn't have as a child. Yeah, I might have had more free time, but I wasn't allowed to really do with it what I wanted. I was given certain options within very, very large restrictions, and even if you were allowed to buy stuff with your money, sometimes you had the parent who criticized you the whole time, or there's like, that's what you wasted your money on? Oh, that's what you spent your money on? Oh, is that how you're cleaning the dishes? Oh, is that how you're doing that? And you were just criticized. I like being an adult and you get to say things as an adult that you don't get to say as a child. Some of us got pep talks, in the car. Don't say anything about this, and this to this person. You're not allowed to say this. You can't do this. As an adult, I can embarrass my entire family. I can call someone out for the bad doings that they are, and it's great. I love being an adult. Having responsibility isn't the worst thing in the world, because with responsibility comes power of choice. And I'm able to see the consequences and move strategically as I want to. I'm not controlled by outside forces as much. Do I have to have some obedience to like a boss and to general laws? Yeah, but I have so much more freedom as an adult. I can slug off work anytime I want. Now, am I going to get paid? No. But those are choices that I'm allowed to have. When I was in school, you had to go to school. There weren't options for you. And I like